2019, the first show here on the Koeneke Hour here on KSSU.com, the student-run radio station of Sacramento State. What's going on, everybody? I'm Nick Koeneke. Thanks for tuning in to the program. The very first show here in 2019, a Tuesday, like usual, January 22nd, 2019. What's going on, everybody? How was your break? How was the holidays? How was the new year? What's going on? Excited to have everybody back here on the Koeneke Hour and excited to be back here on the campus of Sacramento State at the KSSU radio station here on campus, just next to the gym here on campus. What's going on, everybody? For the noobs of the show, welcome to a passionate, heated, incomparable, and a very inconsistent discussion about everything in the sports world to my friends and family down south, back east, and up here in Sacramento. Thanks for tuning in to the program, everybody. What is going on? I'm so pumped to be back. I'm so excited to be here. I've got a lot to talk about. Haven't had a show in like 6 weeks, right? Since last year. Did a podcast over the break, but haven't been here in the studios for 6 weeks. So I'm really excited to be back. Really excited to talk about what's been going on in sports and kind of get what everybody's been doing during the break and seeing what's going on. Remember to follow me on Twitter at the Koeneke Hour. Remember to follow my podcast at the Keep Calm and Stay Offended podcast. That is on YouTube. And just check out and check in on the Koeneke Hour every Tuesdays from 5:10 to about 7 o'clock p.m. every Tuesday here Pacific time in the beautiful city of Sacramento, California. The Koeneke Hour brought to you by Cited, a new, I must say, and I must mention a new sponsor here on the show. And I'll get into it, but I just got to do my read. The Koeneke Hour brought to you by Cited, a brand new debate platform that rewards you for your opinion. Are you tired of the chaos and unorganized nature of Twitter, with personal attacks by unknown trolls thrown in the mix? There was no scoreboard, no clock, and no way to crown a winner. Cited, a one-on-one civilized and timed debate with a winner ultimately chosen by the voters. Clock is ticking, the pressure is on. Get in the game. Go to cited.co, create an account, and prove you've got the strongest takes and best opinions. That's cited.co. New sponsor here on the Koeneke Hour and on my podcast. Cited is when I was working in San Diego, one of my bosses actually came up with this program, and he pitched it to me. He talked about or asked me what I thought, and I thought it was a great idea. Twitter sometimes gets you get lost in what's important about the debate or what you're talking about, because that's really what Twitter is about, right? It's about asking other people's opinions, giving your opinions, and kind of debating it. But what's great about Cited is it's all organized and complex, and you just go in, you talk about what you want to talk about, and if your opinion is valid and people like what you're saying, people will vote for you, and guess what? You're gonna win. You're gonna win some stuff. You're gonna win cool prizes once the application, once Cited gets to the ultimate, app that it wants to be. So Cited's new sponsor here on the program, and it's a great app for people who find Twitter sometimes confusing and sometimes just a blur, because you've got people who are just trolling, people who are just making jokes, and they're not getting rewarded for their opinion. And that's what Cited does for people. It's a way to make an opinion. If people like it, hey, you're going to win stuff, and you're going to be voted upon, and then you get rewarded for your opinion. So that's cited.co. Go create an account and get rewarded for your strongest takes and best opinions. What's going on, everybody? It's 5:16 here on a Tuesday. Once again, I'm Nick Koeneke. Thanks for tuning into the program. Got a lot going on today's show. Koeneke Rant of the Week, Championship Sunday, some baseball news, and everything in between sports and what's going on. Got two guests today. Kevin Peardart's going to join me at about 5:35 to talk about the championship games on Sunday, talk about what he expects going forward for the Super Bowl. And got Adam Glick joining me at about 6:10, 6:15 to update us on some college basketball as we head into February and then ultimately into March Madness. So really excited to have them both. Really excited to talk about mainly a lot of football. Will be the focal point of today's show, and really excited to get into that. So what's going on? How is everybody doing? First day of classes here at Sacramento State, like a lot of other schools. one thing I've noticed, just getting back on campus for the first time really since I got back up here is that so many people are now wearing those Air things, on the iPhone. I saw like 10, 15 people have those. And I'm like, you guys are college students. Where are you getting your money? I barely can afford books. But I keep seeing people with those, and I don't know. I don't really have an opinion on it, but I just, something I noticed, and they're so expensive. Like, my little brother has one, and they're like $150, $160 or something like that for, little earbuds. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, how do you not lose those? Like I have a wired headset, so it's like a clump. Like, I can't lose it. But with those, they're so small and so little that you can't really, what if you lose them, right? What if, and then $150 is down the tube because you're not going to walk around with just one. You'd look like a bozo, right? So that's something I noticed. I've been sick a lot lately. I was sick a lot during the break. I'm just going to update you on what's been going on in my life. I was sick a lot during break. I got sick on Christmas. I got sick when I went to Vegas. I've been sick since. I'm sick right now. I actually went to the urgent care here on campus to try to get. You probably can tell I got a little stuffy nose and I've got some sinus issues that I've been dealing with for weeks now. So I'm trying to get them to help me out. But with doctors, man, I don't know what it is. No matter who I see, no matter what I ask them, no matter what we talk about, no matter what the problem is, I always find like it takes forever just to get fixed. And like, what's the point of all these medicines? What am I paying for it? I'm just to sit around, with a clogged nose, clogged ears, coughing everywhere. Everybody's sick nowadays. I mean, it is flu season and it's freezing up here. So I understand why everybody's sick, but isn't the medicine supposed to, help and fix? So I went today and I went on antibiotics last week to try to get rid of this sinus infection. It didn't really help. It kind of helped, but didn't, get all of it. So I go in there, and I see the doctor, and she's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, I got this. And she's like, okay, what have you been taking? I'm like, well, I got on antibiotics when I was at home. And she's like, okay, what? And I told her. And then I was like, she was just like, okay, that's kind of like the first step. But she's like, since it's not going away, we need to, like, up the ante. And I'm like, what's that mean? And she's just like, I'm going to give you some strong stuff. And I'm like, sweet. So she's like, don't be doing any stuff while you take this, try to take it when you go to bed so you can just sleep on it and get better. I'm like, all right. So she's giving me really strong drugs. How about that, right? Start the new year. I'm on high. I'm like high walking around campus. I'm kidding. I don't do that. But I'm on extremely high antibiotics. And I was actually talking with a friend the other night. And I've been getting sick a lot since, kind of flu season started. Since about, like, the beginning of the school year, August, September, October, those months, I started, ramping up, or I consistently was getting sick, and I don't know why I'm telling you this, but consistently getting sick, and I was like, all right, maybe I can change my diet, maybe I wash my hands some more, maybe exercise some more. Did all those things, just kept getting sick, more and more sick. And, getting better and then getting sick a week later, and then getting better and then being fine, and, just a constant seesaw of, being healthy and not healthy. So I was talking with a couple of my friends last night before I was going to bed, and I probably haven't laughed so hard in a long time. But I go to a friend, and I'm like, dude, I don't get it. Like, every time I go to the doctor, every time I go see, somebody for some sort of issue, they either can't fix it or it takes forever, and then I just come back with the same problems, right? And I go, what am I going to do to, like, what do you think I should do? I'm asking, like, my bozo friend who has no idea, like me, how medicine works or how the body works. I'm like, what am I have to do something to try to change, my health to try to get better because nothing's working. And both of them, I'm not kidding you, both of them go, like, maybe you need to get laid. And I saw that text and I bursted out laughing. And I go, maybe you're right. So, yeah, and they both said it with a straight face. They're like, yeah, maybe that needs to happen in your life a little more often than it does, and maybe you'll get better. And I was like, oh, yeah, probably right. So that's what I've been dealing with. That's what I've been dealing with the last couple of weeks. So let's move on to the first segment of the day. I know I've come rambling, but It's the first show of the year. I'm getting back into the groove of things, so bear with me, right? Koeneke Rant of the Week. All right, guys. I want to talk about something that I've been just talking about and getting sick and things like that. I recently had to go see a doctor I had to see him over break, okay? And this is the same doctor I've seen for a couple months. Over summer, I had to get checked out for abdominal problems, like it was hurting and things like that, and they diagnosed that, I have some inflammation and my body's not properly digesting things, and that's probably why it's a little painful. So they checked that out, and I go back to him and get a checkup. He's like, how things going? I'm like, I kind of have the same issues, coming and going, blah, 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 some pain and things like that. I'm like, what you find? He goes, well, to be honest, I think you have intestinal inflammation. I'm like, you think or you don't think? He's like, you have intestinal inflammation. And I go, what's that mean? He's like, that means your intestines are a little bit puffy. Like, baby cheeks. They're a little puffy. And I go, okay. So what does that mean? He's like, well, that's probably what's causing your pain. So your whatever's going on down there when you digest food, it's not properly going through the intestines or whatever, because there's not enough space. And I go, okay, so what's next? He's like, well, I'm going to put you on this medicine, and you're going to take it, and hopefully it fixes the problem. And I go, okay, well, what's like the side effects? What else is going on? What should I expect? He's like, nothing, just take it. Hopefully you start feeling better. If you don't, we'll see you soon. We're gonna have to check up on you again. So we'll see you soon. Hopefully that all works. And if it doesn't, and if it starts becoming a real problem, then give us a call. And I was like, all right. So I started thinking, I was driving home, and I was like, basically, what the doctor is saying, this is the conclusion I made. Basically, the doctor is saying, Nick, you have intestinal inflammation, which means you can go fart anytime, anywhere you want. And I was like, yes! And as you can imagine, I'm ecstatic. He's just like, yeah, do whatever you want. Like, just tell people you've got this issue and that it's completely natural to do what you're supposed to do. And I'm like, thank you, because I'm always getting yelled at by people. They're always just like, don't do that. Now I can pass gas. Now I can fart anytime I want, and I'm ecstatic. I can do it in class. I can do it at home. I can do it around people who are eating. Just be the rudest, most disgusting person. And all I got to say is, hey, I have intestinal inflammation. My doctor says it's fine. Is that hilarious? Just because I have this medical issue, he's like, yeah, go do whatever you want. And just tell him I said it was okay. Just do it. So I go home. I start, ripping ass. My mom's like, Nicholas, you got to stop that. What are you doing? Stop that. And I'm like, Mom, Doc says it's okay. Doc says I can do it. Doc says I can, anytime, anywhere. And I'm not going to go against his well wishes. So I'm going to keep doing it. So I'm ecstatic. I'm so happy. I haven't been this happy in forever. I'm kidding. That's a joke. But yeah, I'm ecstatic. So that's the Koeneke Rant of the Week. I didn't want to do anything angry because it's the new year and I'm trying to be a little happier. I'm trying not to complain about things. So I thought of that and I was like, that's hilarious. Nick, you have intestinal inflammation, so that means you can fart anytime, anywhere you want. And I am so happy. 525 here on KSSU.com, the student-run radio station of Sacramento State. I'm Nick Koeneke. What's going on? Thanks for tuning in to the program. Follow my Twitter at the Koeneke Hour. Koeneke spelled Koeneke. Follow my podcast on YouTube at the Keep Calm and Stay Offended podcast. And call in the show if you want. 916-278-3666. Have you ever had a doctor tell you you can fart anytime, anywhere you want? I don't think so. But I get to do it. All right, Championship Sunday. Let's move on to some real sports, real talk. I've been blabbering for 15, 20 minutes about nothing. How did everybody perceive and look at Championship Sunday? I want to start with how great both those games were. Even when the games were tiptoeing towards maybe a blowout, I still really enjoyed watching each game. When the Saints were up, I think it was 13-0, and then the Patriots were up 14-0, I think, at halftime. So they were still great games. They were still all the way from the kickoff all the way to the last play of the game. Each game was really entertaining. I wish the Chiefs won. I wish the Saints won. So both the teams I was kind of rooting for didn't win. But obviously there's some controversy with the Saints game. Obviously there was some controversy with the Patriots game, more going towards the Saints game with the no-call pass interference late in the game. That really would have sealed the deal for the Saints because they would have a 20-yard field goal, and nobody misses a 20-yard field goal. But we'll never know, right? So the Rams beat the Saints in the controversial ending. And what I took from this game and what I want to, the Rams got lucky. Okay, they really did. That's what happened. They got really lucky. They got an officiating crew who really seemed to not pull the trigger when they were supposed to, when they had to make calls, make decisions in games. And that tends to happen, right? People are so surprised. They're like, how can this guy miss this call? How can he not throw the flag? How can he not, how do they not make a decision there to say, hey, first of all, there's a pass interference penalty, and second of all, there's a helmet-to-helmet penalty. How do you miss that? And here's where I kind of digress and differ from other people. It's the most important weekend for football in the whole season. Championship Sunday is the most important weekend of the NFL, not the Super Bowl. Now, the Super Bowl, the reason why the Super Bowl isn't, you might be asking, everybody's saying, why is it the Super Bowl the most important? It's because it's a skeptical now. The game doesn't necessarily have to be, it doesn't have to be a good game because you've already got people watching the Super Bowl for its entirety. And it's an event. So you got people watching the week leading up to it, okay? You got news outlets covering it and sports organizations covering going up to the game, okay? And then you got pregame, right? You got the pregame festivities. You got the predictions. You got all these people in these organizations and all these cameras and radio and everything on the game. So you got publicity there. And then you got the national anthem. And then you got the game itself. Then you got the halftime show. And then you got the post-game. And then the post-game show. And then you got the game itself. So the Super Bowl isn't all that important. It really isn't. Just because there's so many aspects and so many different parts of that weekend and that week that the NFL doesn't have to focus, doesn't have to have the game itself be great because you've already got all these people watching. You got people watching just for the halftime show. You got people watching just for the commercials. Then you got people like me who just want to focus on the game. You already got people's attention. Now, what's so important about championship weekend is everybody's there for the game. And if you blow it as the NFL and the officiating crew, then you're going to have all this controversy, which exactly happened on Sunday, right? So that's why it's so important. You got 2 championship games, 2 legacies, two franchises going to a Super Bowl to claim their spot in history. And you can't screw that up. And that's what happened on Sunday. You had 2 officiating crews who really struggled. They did. Obviously, that one call in the Saints game. Then you got a couple ticky-tack calls in the Chiefs game. One, for example, the pass interference on Tom Brady. That didn't even come close to touching his head. Didn't even come close to roughing the passer, right? So I think the NFL, really struggled with that. And I think them having a really tough weekend kind of puts them in a bad spot for the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is going to be fine, okay? But man, the Rams coming back and being the Saints the way it happened, I don't know. What I took from the game itself, now focusing on the game before we hit our break, is the Rams got lucky. And I think the whole idea and the whole mindset that every team now needs to hire the next Sean McVay. Sean McVay, the head coach of the Rams. Young, offensive-minded, really smart, energetic players coach. That's what he is. And everybody's like, oh, we got to copy that. Because that's what's the future of football. No, it ain't. You've always got these trends, okay? And Sean McVay, in my opinion, I really think he's overrated. I really do. And everybody wants to say he's the coach of the year and the next great coach and the next, Hall of Fame coach. He isn't. And here's why. He came to an organization in the Rams who were kind of lacking in an identity and lacking continuity. But what did the Rams have? They had some really great young talent, and all Sean McVay had to do was put these guys together to play as a team. You had a guy like Jared Goff, who really struggled his first year under Coach Steve Fisher. Anybody's better than Steve Fisher. Okay, and then he's got a young, and he was the number 1 pick, I believe, Jared Goff. So he had the talent, obviously. Okay, so there's not talent, there's not personnel on his team that's lacking. He had a great defensive players. Aaron Donald, Ndamukong Suh came in, Aqib Talib, even though that defense can't really stop anybody. He had all these individual talents, and all he really had to do as a coach was bring the team together. That's it. They lack continuity, and they lacked a system. Okay? So that's why Sean McVay, you got to pump the brakes on this guy. Yes, he's a great offensive mind. Okay? But he really came into an organization that you're thinking, okay, they're a losing team. They're a team that, has a lot of great individual players. Potentially great players. If you're a coach and you're like, hey, I want to go to a bad team, but what's the best opportunity for me to win in the future? It was the Rams. Because you got all these... Todd Gurley is another name. So Sean McVay really came into a really great situation. And history shows that you got to pump the brakes on these guys, right? To name a few, Harbaugh, right, with the Niners. He kind of came into you just got to put the team together. Great individual talent. Mike Tomlin's one. Mike Tomlin had all these individual great players. He's just got to put it together. He's got to make the puzzle, right? There's another guy. Mike McCarthy's one who just recently got fired. But all these guys had set pieces, okay? Set teams, and you can't just make him the next Vince Lombardi because he, dug up a team who was nothing and made him into a championship team. No, he had half a team. All he had to do was put them together. I give Sean McVay credit. Great coach. But pump the brakes saying, he's the next this, he's the next that. First of all, he shouldn't be in a Super Bowl anyways. And second of all, he got hired into a great situation. A great situation in the Rams. Moving to LA, all that stuff. So that Sean McVay's really in a good spot in and I think people should pump the brakes on that. All right, we're going to go move on to the AFC Championship coming up after this break. I'm Nick Koeneke. Thanks for tuning in to the program. It's 5:35 here on KSSU.com. We're going to talk with Kevin Peardont on the New England Patriots taking down the Chiefs in Kansas City coming up next. And then we'll get to more football and then some college basketball later on the show and some baseball. So stay tuned, and you're listening to the Koeneke Hour here on KSSU.com. All right, welcome back to the Koeneke Hour here on KSSU.com, 5:39 here on a Tuesday. Let's stick with some football. Let's stick with some Championship Sunday. I got my friend Kevin Peardont on the phone lines to talk some AFC Championship football here on KSSU.com. Kevin, what's going on, buddy? Kevin, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, there we go. There we go.
Oh, perfect.
So, what I wanted to talk to you about, specifically the AFC Championship game. So, if you're new to the program, Kevin comes on and he just talks about how great the Patriots are, and he talks about how, they're so much better than everybody and things like that, right? So, but before we talk about your, bloodlust for the Patriots, did you catch the NFC game? Did you catch that championship game?
I did catch a little bit of the ending.
Okay, so you saw what transpired?
Yes.
Yeah. So, kind of what are your thoughts, with the refs? What do you think going forward? Obviously, the Saints were jobbed and they were screwed over for it. You got any, thoughts on what happened?
Yeah, that's a crazy no call, especially in the playoffs this late in the season. I mean, it happened in the Patriots game as well. There was two calls from both teams that seemed kind of fishy. I mean, hopefully it doesn't transpire to the Super Bowl, because it would really suck to have the game that big, decided on a mistake from a referee.
Right. Yeah, I just I don't know. It was I think everybody kind of freaked out, which they should, but but I said at the beginning of the show that it's not necessarily a surprise, because in big games, championship games, refs don't want to decide a game, and they're hesitant to throw flags. They're hesitant to call penalties. So to say oh, you can't believe, yes, everybody couldn't believe it, but you also can kind of say, okay, I kind of understand why they didn't throw the flag, right? Because they're trying to they don't want to impact the game, but they impacted the game by not throwing a flag.
Yeah, I mean, well, for that game, it looked so obvious.
Right.
I don't know. Like, for the Patriots game, there was two, I think, roughing the passer calls where they might have touched the helmet. That can be, I can understand where you're coming if it was something that small, but a blatant pass interference, I mean, look, it was kind of, to me, it looked obvious.
Yeah, and that's a good point that you mentioned, that, the lack of roughing the passer against Tom Brady, you can understand, because the NFL's just coddles quarterbacks. So when that happened, I was like, oh my god, how do you miss that? But then I thought, I'm like, okay, that all makes sense, because they're trying to literally, you can't touch the quarterback anymore, even if it's no matter if it's Tom Brady, no matter if it's Blake Bortles, whoever you're talking about, they're trying to protect the quarterback. So let's talk about the AFC Championship game. What are your thoughts? Obviously, it was a great game. Chiefs coming back, really start off slow, but, Tom the Machine, the Bill Belichick, the evil empire, the emperor, they get it done. As a Patriot fan, how did you see watching the game? Were you nervous? Were you... Obviously, anybody would be nervous, but how did you kind of... as you're watching the game, what are the thoughts going through your head?
Yeah, I was super nervous, I'm not going to lie. Towards the end of the game, it really seemed like it was, the old school Patriots, Tom Brady coming back, marching down the field like he always used to do. It felt great. I mean, to me, the O-line did amazing, great. I don't think they gave up a sack these last two games, going against two really strong defenses in the Chargers and with the Chiefs. I think that was Brady's 12th game-winning drive in the fourth quarter, which is crazy. The defense, did an amazing job. Kept pounding Mahomes. Didn't let him really set a rhythm of setting his feet and throwing. The defensive, the cornerbacks and the safeties did great. Really sticking close to Tyreek Hill. And they covered him amazing. So hopefully that can carry on to the Super Bowl, because to me, I think the biggest thing for the Patriots was defense. They aren't really strong in defense with tackles and covering downfield, but these last two games they've been doing a great job, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think the points don't necessarily tell the full story of that game. You hold them to they hold them to no points in the first half. Tyreek Hill, he was non-existent for maybe 2 plays. I remember he had a big play across the middle for 35, 40 yards, but that's really it for him. Travis Kelce really didn't do all that much. Just maybe their stats show it, but if you look at the game, if you're watching the game, you're like, oh, I wonder where this guy is, or I wonder what's happened to this guy. And they really couldn't get a rhythm until about maybe halfway through the third, and then it just became a shootout, and that you got to give the Chiefs some credit for making a couple stops, even though that defense sometimes is really bad. I think they were rated, I believe, 31st in the league in overall defense. So, they really struggle, but they, made some stops. And then obviously at the game, at the end of the game, in the overtime, the Patriots did what they usually do. I was actually watching with a friend. I'm sitting right next to him, and we're watching the game, and I'm like, once the Patriots, like everybody else in America thought, once the Patriots got the coin flip, I'm like, watch, they're going to go down the field. And that's exactly what happened. I was like, dude, there's nothing stopping them. I think 2 third downs to Edelman over the middle of the field were so predictable as a fan. Because you've seen Kevin, you've seen this story multiple times, right?
Yeah, and Gronk came up with a big third down catch.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, you had
Man.
Brady made some really good points at his press conference, and he's like, we played a really good game, and everybody stepped up. They really didn't make a lot of mistakes. Yes, they gave up a good amount of points, but I mean, they played 4 full quarters, and that's why the Chiefs didn't win. They didn't play full 4 quarters, as a fumble with that. So going towards the Super Bowl, Patriots Rams in Atlanta. Obviously, you think the Patriots are going to win, but what do you expect? Is it going to be a shootout like everybody expects? Is it going to be a little low scoring? Are you excited for the halftime show? What are you looking at during the for the Super Bowl in Atlanta?
I mean, I don't really pay attention to the Rams much. Today I was doing some research before I called, and they were saying, I think somebody said that the Patriots were going to win by 3 touchdowns, which I think is ridiculous.
Yeah, that is ridiculous.
I'm sure the Rams are they have a better record than the Patriots. I don't know who they play this year, but if the Patriots can, like I said, continue doing good on defense and establish a run game early like they did against the Chiefs,
right,
I think they'll have a great chance of winning. That run game is really White is doing amazing, out of the backfield, running and catching the ball, that's another offensive weapon that Brady has, which is really helping him a lot. Mm-hmm. The O-line needs to definitely block. I mean, they have a great defense. They have Sue, which is okay, but I think the other guy's name is Donald or something like that.
Aaron Donald, right?
I know he's been doing great. I think he leads the NFL, and he has like 22 sacks or something this season, which is pretty good. But I don't know. I don't think Sean McVay and Jared Goff can outplay or outcoach Brady and Belichick at this point. I mean, they've been here how many times? Right. These guys are brand new. I don't think if it comes down to a shootout, Brady got it. Just like with Kansas City. I mean, Mahomes is a great quarterback, but he can't outplay Brady like that.
Yeah, and so Brady's got all the experience.
Exactly, that's what I was going to say. Definitely experience is definitely going to play a big part. That's what I was telling a couple friends I was watching the game with before it started on Sundays. Brady has so much experience in this. These new kids they're great, but they're going to sometimes they can't handle the pressure of the spotlight.
Yeah, look at that. And that's a great point because look at the Chiefs' first half. You don't have Mahomes had like 50 passing yards or something like that, an insanely low amount compared to what he did in the regular season. They had no points on the board. They didn't look shell shocked. They didn't look like they didn't belong, but you could tell from the looks on their face and the way plays were happening on the field, you could tell they were not prepared for specifically what the Patriot defense had for them. And they made adjustments at halftime and fixed some things up, and guess what? They put up 31 points in the second half or whatever it is. But I mean, they couldn't make an adjustment for 2 quarters.
Yeah. And then it looked rough for them for the first 2 quarters, like you said, but hopefully, Brady needs to come out as well. Hopefully, Edelman can have a big game, and Gronk needs to have a big game as well. In blocking, he's been doing amazing blocking, which people are saying, oh, he's washed up, he's done, but I mean, he's been doing amazing from a blocking standpoint of view. And like I said, he did pretty well catching wise on Sunday, so hopefully, gives him a little bit of confidence and he can keep that moving.
Do you got a score? Maybe a prediction? What do you think the total will be?
I don't think it's going to be a blowout or anything like that. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Maybe 27-21, something like that.
Okay, yeah, that's respectable. I mean, in Vegas they have it in the 60s for total. So I think the Rams' defense is so overrated. I mean, they can't make. I mean, they have so many individual talents, and then you know what I hated most about that NFC Championship game? Kind of, a side note is, I mean, their team just running out on the field, acting like they just didn't get, I think, what was it? They scored 27 points, the Saints. Like, their defense running out of the field like they did something in that game. You guys got torched for 3.5 quarters, and you're acting like you're the best defense around. You got the best players. I mean, they've got so many individual great players on that defense, yet they're giving up 25-plus points a game. It just bugs me. And that's what the respect I have for the Patriots is year in, year out, no matter what is going on, no matter the players, no matter that, they stick to what they know wins them football games. And they stick to what they know happens throughout the year. And that's playing good defense, that's winning special teams each and every week, and that's running the football. And guess what? Patriots are in yet another Super Bowl. So that leads me into my next question for you. Do you think the Patriots have been disrespected this season?
That's funny. I was just going to ask you that. Yes, I do. I think it's crazy how people always think, the Patriots are done. They're always saying, the legacy's over. The Rams are favored to win right now, 51% of winning the Super Bowl, which is, it's crazy to me. I don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Brady's the greatest player, the quarterback of all time. There's, especially compared to a Goff, I'm sorry. He's good, but come on now.
Yeah, Goff is a systems quarterback. He's not a quarterback who can go win you a game. He wins games because he's got a coaching staff who tells him what to do.
Exactly, and Sean McVay's done amazing this year. He's his second year in. He's already in the Super Bowl. That's great for him. But there's no way he's going to outcoach Belichick and his coaching staff. Mm-hmm. The fact that they're already counting the Patriots out is crazy. And they count them out the entire preseason. They had a pretty bad start to the season, and they were already saying, the Patriots are done for the rest of the year. And look where they are now.
Here's my comparison. And tell me if you agree with this. We're talking with Kevin Peardon. He's talking a little Patriots and Super Bowl prediction. Here's what I think, Kevin. I think that, like I said, the Patriots know how to win, and they stick to it. And I don't think that the Patriots were disrespected this season. People saw flaws. And guess what? Once people started saying that, the Patriots are like, okay, if you see these flaws, we're going to work on this crap. We're going to work on this specific thing. Okay? And then they get this whole mindset in this mentality that, hey, it's us against the world. Everybody thinks we suck. And guess what happened? In the history books when you're in high school, you learned about, World War II, right? And how I gave this comparison to one of my friends. And I said, when Japan attacked the United States at Pearl Harbor, their prime minister of war or whatever said, whoever it was, I have to go check again, said, we either just destroyed the United States or we woke up a sleeping giant. I think that's what the NFL and the media did with the Patriots. You had a team, not necessarily on the ropes, you had a team that had some flaws, but then you called them out publicly and you just woke up a sleeping giant. Do you agree with that?
I completely agree. That's correct. I can see, even Brady's almost, you never hear him in the media or talking anything. Even he's been saying stuff like, they said that he came into the facility and said he's one of the baddest, in the
F word, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. You've never heard Brady say anything like that. And
no.
He's not a cocky player, but they're definitely getting to him. They're getting angry. And when Brady plays angry, Brady plays amazing.
I know, so. and people, I just don't get it, okay? Like, I've gone to the point the last couple of years where I'm like, all right, nothing's going to surprise me with the Patriots. They're just going to keep winning, and I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to cry. Everybody's like, oh my God, the Patriots are in another Super Bowl. I'm not going to watch. I'm not going to do that. It's like, how do we live with this? It's like, you know why? It's because you badmouth the most psychopathic coach and football player in the league, and guess what? They took it personal. They took it negatively, and they use that to fire their evil concoction of winning football games in the playoffs. And guess what? They're in yet another Super Bowl. How are you still surprised? Please explain that to me, Kevin. Please explain to me that other people are just like, oh, like, can you believe it? Yeah, because you guys talked crap on him. I should say another word, but I'm not allowed to say it on air. You talked all this crap about him, and guess what? They're like, all right, if you're going to say that, we're going to kick your ass, and that's what happened.
Yep. That's exactly what happened. I think it's hilarious because, these guys like, Max Kellerman says all these things about Brady, and he's done.
Yes.
He fell off the cliff. And then the next day he has to come in and, eat his words. It's the best thing ever. Because people don't understand.
And as a Patriot fan, you guys just eat that freaking supper up. And I just, when people were like, oh yeah, it's the Chiefs game to win, it's the Chiefs to I'm just like, you guys have no idea what you're doing to this team. You're giving them fuel, you're giving them food. So, and then Vegas finally, so once the AFC Championship game ended, the line had the Rams favored. And in the last 2 days, it's now the Patriots are favored 2.5 points instead of the Rams are favored a point. Because now I think people are realizing, dude, we should probably stop talking. It just...
Yeah, I didn't know that. But yeah, definitely. They should just let it happen because...
Yeah, you got
Brady plays angry.
You got arguably the best coach in our generation, best quarterback in our generation, and you're going to say, oh, these other teams are favored? It just blows my mind. Do you have any explanation for it?
No, it blows my mind as well. I mean, and it's an every year thing. It's not like, oh, this is the first time. It's, even preseason, they start making things up, trying to, I don't know, disrupt the Patriots. They act like the Patriots haven't been here before. Like, I was looking at, how after the games they show the locker room and,
yes,
how players react. And I was talking about this with one of my friends is, when some of the teams won, the first playoff game, they were in the locker room going crazy, dancing. The coaches were dancing. It was a big party. You look at the Patriots locker room when they win. When they won last night or on Sunday, they walked in.
All business.
Shook each other's hand. Yeah, exactly. Clapped, and that's it. They've been here before, so they, and it's crazy that people think they could, I guess they're trying to distract them, but it's just, like you said, just fueling the fire.
Like Antonio Brown likes to say, business is booming. Well, it's not booming in Pittsburgh. It's booming in New England, and guess what? It's been booming for like 18 years. And
Great. People
just do not get it. All right, Kevin, so Patriots victory, kind of low-scoring game. Are you going to, this will be my last question. I'll leave you with this. Because the Patriots have been in so many Super Bowls recently, are you more inclined to maybe not necessarily focus on the game? Like, will you stick around for a commercial and talk about that, or watch the halftime show because you've been in it so many times? Or you nobody bother me, I'm watching the game?
No, for me, it's all game. It's straight game, It's just I don't even think of the past couple games, the past couple Super Bowls. This is now in the moment,
And none of the festivities. No, Maroon 5 at halftime. You're just I got to go take a piss, and then I'm going to sit down and watch the second half.
I'm not worried about the halftime show. I'm not worried about the stupid commercials. I just want to watch the game.
You don't want to make any bets? Or play any of those, play squares that people like to play at halftime or Super Bowl parties. You're not focused on any of that.
No, I'm not there for the party. I'm there for the game.
All right, Kevin. Hey, I appreciate the time. We'll talk soon, and we'll see what the Super Bowl is in a couple of weeks, but we'll talk soon about that and try to get you back on for what happened in the Super Bowl. And I appreciate the time, so thank you.
For sure. Thank you very much.
All right. We'll talk to you soon.
All right.
That's Kevin Peardont. Talking a little AFC Championship and Super Bowl. I like bringing him on. He's one of the few Patriot people that I know in my life and also that I enjoy talking to. Because he's not an ass about it. He's just straightforward. He's like, yeah, dude, they do this, they do that. And he just tells you like it is. And he tells facts. And I appreciate that out of him. 6 o'clock here on KSSU.com, halfway through the first show here in 2019. I'm Nick Koeneke. Follow my Twitter at the Koeneke Hour. Follow my podcast, the Keep Calm and Stay Offended podcast. Also, call into the show if you'd like, 916-278-3666, and let's talk some sports. All right, at 6:15, going to talk with Adam Glick, AdamGlick39 on Twitter, to talk a little college basketball. Got some more NFL talk, got some Stop It Stopper right now, and also got the Koeneke Hour Sided Debate of the Week later on in today's show. But before we get into all that and before we go to our next break, I do want to talk about staying in football. And this will be the last kind of segment about football before we move into a couple other sports. Because it's just such an important time of the year, I kind of want to focus on football and what's going on in the NFL. I wanted to talk about, recently and how history has shown the contrary of what the league is right now in the NFL. And here's what I mean by that. Everybody wants the new, young, smart coach, Sean McVay, right? Everybody wants the young, gunslinging quarterback, throw it a bunch. Everybody wants, pass rushers, get to the quarterback, and then a shutdown corner, kind of thing like that. Everybody's saying it's an offensive league, which it is. That's the truth. If you look at statistics, that's the truth. It might be an offensive league. It might be a league that celebrates, its offensive players, quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, a lot lately. But just because it's an offensive league doesn't mean offense wins championships. And I might be an old soul. I might be a guy who's just like, defense wins championships. Mike Ditka, blah, blah, blah. It's the truth. Look at the Patriots. Okay? They keep consistently getting to Super Bowls by playing good defense. And these young teams, okay, the Rams got lucky. That's the truth. They should not be in the Super Bowl. And if they lost that game, I would be on the air losing my mind telling my listeners and the audience out there that see what happens when defense, you don't have a good defense? Look at the Chiefs, 31st in overall defense. Guess what? They don't make it to the Super Bowl. They don't win a championship, and they fire their defensive coordinator. Look at the Rams, who shouldn't be in that game. They have all these young quarterback, defensive tackles, veteran players on that defensive side, a veteran coach, and they still are in the bottom half in defense. And everybody wants to say, you can, as long as you score 30 points a game, you're going to win, and you're going to win a championship. Chiefs, yeah. Saints, yeah. Rams, yeah. Yeah, sure, they were, offenses were great, but you win championships by making plays on defense. Chiefs couldn't do that all year. Rams couldn't do that most of the time. They're in the game, I get it. Give respect to that. But I think the whole idea that fans have nowadays, and I think NFL front offices, what they lack is the lack of focus on the defensive side of the football. Because they want, to sell tickets and they want to score a bunch of points and it's good for ratings. Sure, it's good for ratings, but your team's never going to win a freaking championship. They aren't. They won't. Not going to happen. History has shown that, and until history shows me that it doesn't, I'm going to stick to that fact. You still need a defense. Okay, you can't just, have one good pass rusher, sack the quarterback a bunch, and give up 28 points a game. You're not going to win ball games like that. Okay? Look at the Chargers. They had a good defense this year. And if they just showed up against the Patriots, arguably they could have won that game. Look at the Ravens. They're an up-and-coming team. Really good defense. Young quarterback. Young quarterbacks don't win championships. They don't. Especially rookie quarterbacks. So that's kind of an outlier, but that's an up-and-coming team you got to think about. You can't just focus on the offensive side of the football. You can't. You can't. And the league wants to keep moving towards an offensive, let's score touchdowns, let's get more ratings, more sponsors, more fans into the stadium, more fans on TV, let's do all that. Sure, you can do that for half your league, but half that league ain't going to win a championship. Look at the Jaguars. Jaguars last year were 3 plays away from the Super Bowl. And guess why? Because they played good defense. This year, it's a totally different story. Look at those old Steeler teams. They won championships and got to Super Bowls because they could play defense. Sure, they had a good offense. Sure, they were putting up 25, 26 points a game, but they held teams to about 20 points, under 20 points a game. Okay? Just because it's an offensive league doesn't mean defense doesn't win championships anymore. You heard it here. 606 here on KSSU.com, the Student Run radio station of Sacramento State. What's going on, everybody? It's Nick Koeneke. Thanks for tuning in to the program. Make sure to tune in every Tuesday from 5 to 7, about 5:10 to about 7 p.m. here Pacific time, and p.m. at nighttime on KSSU.com. A very cold evening here in Sacramento as the sun goes down. It's pretty cold up here. I'll give it that. It's about 55, 50 to 60 to, not 60, but about 48 to about 55 degrees consistently, when you get up to when you go to bed. So it's pretty cold up here. It should be a little colder this time of year. But as we head into February, it's going to, stick around this, and then it'll start getting warmer as we head into spring training. Spring training's coming up in about, I think, a month. So we'll get into some baseball talk moving forward. Also, just a side note, a program note, I will be on To Be Debated at 1 o'clock tomorrow. To Be Debated with Keith Joganatos and Sean Holko. Tune into that program. I'll be on the show from 1 to 2, so make sure to tune in here on KSSU.com, as I will be on that program talking with Sean about whatever he wants to talk about. He asked me to come on, and I said, dude, you're the man. So I can't wait for that, and I'm really excited for that. So thank you for that, and thank you for tuning in the program. We're going to talk with Adam Glick shortly at about 6:15 to talk some college basketball, some college hoops. Going to talk some baseball, going to talk some sided debates, and then stop it right now. So really excited for that. So we'll take a break in a couple of minutes to talk with Adam Glick. So let's shift a little bit. This is a long segment coming up about 40 minutes, but that's because Adam Glick's got some things going on. Usually I have him on about 6:05, 6:10, but he's got some stuff going on right now, and he said he'll be on at 6:15. So running a little bit of a longer segment here. I want to move towards some baseball talk. It's the off-season. Spring training is coming upon us. Teams are signing players. Players are finding new teams. And the MLB Hall of Fame, if you're just checking into that, Mariano Rivera, the best closer in baseball, is the first player ever to have a unanimous selection in the Hall of Fame on his first ballot. In the history of football, the history of baseball. So congratulations to him, and well deserved. And 3 other players are also on that ballot. Martinez, who else is on there? Martinez, let me just quickly look at that. Holiday, Martinez, and Mussina. Mike Mussina of the Yankees. So let's stick with baseball. Bryce Harper and Manny Machado consistently run the airwaves recently with baseball. And here's why. Because they still haven't found a team. I mean, it's basically February, and they don't have a team yet. They haven't signed a team. Manny Machado has a contract waiting for him to sign with the White Sox. I believe it's an 8-year, $200-something million contract. Bryce Harper is down to either the Nationals, to go back to the Nationals, or play for the Phillies. And here's my opinion on both of them. Starting with Bryce Harper, because he seems to be like, the Mike Trout, right behind Mike Trout for best player in the league. And I don't necessarily agree with that because the guy Ks so much. But here's what I mean by this. So Harper either needs the Phillies or the Nationals. And if I were Bryce, if I were him, and both teams are offering the same contract, which they won't be, but they're offering him the same contract, who do you pick? The Nationals have shown that they can't win in October. Phillies are an up-and-coming team. Phillies could arguably compete for a championship this year, especially with the addition of Bryce Harper. But who should he go with? Well, if you think about it, both teams play in the same division, so if Harper goes to the Phillies, he's going to become villain number 1 in Washington, D.C., in our nation's capital. But because he's contemplating going to the enemy, I think Bryce is already enemy number one. Bryce is already, not liked in the capital. So if I were him, you got to go to the Phillies. I mean, you're already telling the Nationals, telling their fan base, hey, I might go to the rival, and I might play for them. Well, even if you choose not to, National fans are going to be like, dude, you still thought about going. Yes, they're happy that you're back, and they're happy that they get your 40 home runs a year. But if you're down to these two teams, and you're down to picking one or the other, you got to go with the Phillies. Just because you're already looking like the villain. And moving over to Manny Machado, if he were smart, I wouldn't go to the White Sox. Because he's going to get a long-term deal, and he's going to get a deal to when he basically retires. And he's going to get a clause in which he can back out of his contract. But if Manny Machado were smart, he wouldn't sign with the White Sox, and he'd sign with a contender. Whether that's the Dodgers again, whether that's, I don't know, the Phillies, whether that's, an up-and-coming young team, the Rays maybe. The Rays don't have the payroll, so it's not going to happen. Just like the Pirates, all these Pirate fans are coming, let's get him. They're not going to sign him. History has shown that. So why are you, put Padres, another example. They're not going to sign him. They just don't have the money. First of all, they have the money. They're not willing to spend it. But you should go to a contender. Don't be an Albert Pujols who, went to Anaheim, and guess what? They've had like 4 losing seasons in a row. Yes, he got paid, but you're not competing for anything. You're not playing meaningful baseball in September and into the late summer. So if it were Manny Machado or Harper, you got to go back to the Nats, and Machado, you got to find a contender to play for. And I'm pretty sure most contenders will pay for you. 6:13 here on KSSU.com, the student run radio station of Sacramento State. I'm Nick Koeneke. We're going to head towards a break. Adam Glick will join me on the other side to talk some NCAA basketball. And as we head into March. I'm kind of fumbling with my phone right now. We'll talk with Adam Glick, Adam Glick 39 on Twitter. So stay tuned for that, and then we'll get into Stop It Stopper right now, and then the Koeneke-sided debate of the week to end today's show. So thanks for tuning in to the program. You're listening to the Koeneke Hour here on KSSU.com. 6:16 here on KSSU Radio. It's Nick Koeneke and the Koeneke Hour. Thanks for tuning in to the second half of the program. Let's move away from some football. Let's move away from some basketball, and let's talk with my buddy Adam Glick, Adam Glick 39 on Twitter from the University of Texas, better known as the Matthew McConaughey University. Glick, what's happening, buddy?
Nothing much. Just enjoying first day back of school, and Matthew McConaughey helped Texas get a huge basketball victory on Saturday.
How was class today, Glick?
Good. Had 2 classes, went to both of them. Very excited for the new semester.
Glick, where are you going? You walking around?
Yeah, I'm walking around outside, enjoying the scenery here in Austin, in America's finest city.
How cold is it right now?
Probably about 62 degrees, I would say.
So Glick is a part of a fraternity. Glick, what time do you have to be in the fraternity in which you not on a phone line?
We have meetings, and I have to go. They're about an hour.
Okay, at what time?
Just at night, 6 to 7.
Okay. Don't, Glick, you're not understanding what I'm asking. What I'm asking is, how long do we have you for?
How long do they happen for?
No. God, Glick. How long... Glick, stop walking, okay? Stop drinking, okay? Answer this question. How long do my listeners have you on the Koeneke Hour tonight? Till what time?
Whenever. Just I'm done with the meeting.
You're done with the meeting, so we can talk longer. See, I thought you were going to a meeting.
No, it already happened. Just I'm here for basketball. I'm excited. Just give me some questions.
What's for dinner?
Dinner, I had some chicken.
From where?
From our cook.
Oh, the cook guy. Okay. All right, Glick. College basketball. Duke. They're in Pittsburgh tonight, taking on the Panthers. I do not know the score of that game, but I will check that shortly.
I believe it just started, and I expect Duke to win by double digits, even though Pittsburgh is coming off an impressive win last week.
So the Dukies are in Pittsburgh to take on the University of Pittsburgh. Trey Jones is out. There's some new developments on what's going on with him. Fill us in on with the situation with the Dukies.
So he has an AC joint separation. It's a little bit of above a grade 1 sprain, which means that it's not horrible, and he's not going to miss a significant amount of time. Probably timetable is now a week and a half. He's not playing tonight against Pitt, and it just depends how well he heals. He's going to be day-to-day each and every game until he comes back, and I don't think he'll be back by the end of January at worst, and it's huge news for Duke because you saw they just beat a top 5 team in Virginia on Saturday without him. So with him on the court and his defense and him running the offense, they're unstoppable, basically.
With Trey Jones, are they the favorite to win the championship?
Oh, 100%. But
do they?
Tennessee is right there with them.
Okay, but do they?
Do they? I mean, it's March Madness. You never know. Kentucky was, a few years ago, they went undefeated. They were the overwhelming favorite, and they couldn't even win a championship. I would say yes, if you're trying to be safe, but they could have one slip-up game. They played Syracuse at home, and Syracuse is not even that talented, let's be honest, and they lost.
Mm-hmm.
I know they had 2 players hurt, but they still had Zion and R.J. Barrett on the court.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you should be able to beat Syracuse at home. And they had everyone healthy against Florida State, and it took them a buzzer beater to win. So you just never know in college basketball.
You alluded to Matthew McConaughey. You are on the campus of the University of Texas. You are enrolled in the University of Texas. As of right now, what is his role with that team?
I think it's
what would you call it?
He's like a motivational coach, basically. He gives us energy.
But why is he on the side? Why is he on the bench, walking towards he's a coach? It's hilarious. I'll give him that. It was funny. But as a coach, why are you allowing this to happen? Telling players, "Come on, let's get up." You know.
Listen, I don't know Shaka personally, but I just think it's good to have him on the sideline. If we beat Oklahoma, biggest win of the season probably as of right now, and he was there. He brings energy to the crowd. He brings energy to our bench. And
were you at the game he was coaching?
No, I was still in San Diego. I came back yesterday.
Got it. All right.
I missed it.
But so you would just motivational. Is he? Do you think he's in the locker room?
Maybe before a game or after a game, but not at halftime. I don't think so.
All right, we're talking with Adam Glick. Adam Glick 39 on Twitter. Glick, what's happened to Florida State?
Well, they did. I think if it's gone final, I checked. There was about a minute ago. They were about to beat Clemson, I believe. Listen, they have athletes. They don't have basketball players, and that's the story that pretty much every year with Florida State. They have good players that can jump and that can rebound and that can dunk, but they don't have IQ basketball players, and that's why they're never going to be elite like they should be. But yes, they did beat Clemson tonight by 9 at home, so they ended their 3-game slide, and they're not going to win the ACC. They'll probably get a 6th seed or something, and, who knows what they can do. But they have the talent they go for. They went to the Sweet 16 last year as a 9 seed, so you never know. Mm-hmm. Or the Elite 8, I'm sorry, and they lost to Michigan.
Tennessee, the Vols are number 1 in the land. Check me on that. Is that correct?
Yeah, number 1 in the land.
Are they
Rick Barnes, former UT coach?
Are they deserving of that number 1?
Yes. They have one loss. It's to Kansas in overtime back in November with Udoka Azubuike, who's out for the season. He's probably Kansas's best player. So they lost in overtime way back in November when it was still turkey season, Thanksgiving season. And now they're pretty much cruising through the SEC. They had a tough scare on Saturday against Bama, but almost all of their wins at least 10 wins by double-digit points, and they're pretty dominant. They have an Admiral Schofield, Jordan Boone, and Grant Williams. All three players just really take over that team, and they're definitely the favorite to win the SEC. And I looked at their schedule. I don't think they lose for another month at least until they play Kentucky on the road in mid-February. But they're going to be a number one seed. It's just if they're going to be the number one overall seed, I don't know, but they'll be a number one seed.
Louisville has 5 losses and somehow in the top 25. Adam Glick, why?
Well, listen, I'm a big fan, as you know, I'm a big fan of mid-majors. And let's be honest, the AP pool is not a big fan of mid-majors. The committee's not a big fan of mid-majors. No one's really a fan of mid-majors, but
well, what about Sac State?
Sac State, they're pretty good. They've won one conference game. But but the thing is, listen, Louisville has a couple good wins because their schedule allows it. They play so many good teams that they allow for good wins. They beat Michigan State. They beat Seton Hall on the road. They beat Carolina on the road by 20 points. Listen, they're a good team. They're not great. They probably shouldn't be ranked, but because of those 3 wins I just mentioned, the reason why they're ranked instead of like a team, I don't know, UCF, who's 14-3. They're not just a football school; they also play basketball. Taco Fall 7-6. But I'm just giving an example. They're going to give teams that are Power 5s and have the opportunity to produce ample quality wins.
6:25 here on KSSU Radio. We're talking with Adam Glick. Adam Glick, 39. All right, Glick. It's almost February. That means conference play is, in full swing. Full swing coming up. Looking towards March, though. So in about a month's time, the last week in February, heading into March, who's maybe a team that we should watch that nobody's paying attention to?
I have Kansas State right now. A friend agreed with me earlier before the show. Kansas State is a team to watch. They won again tonight against Texas Tech. Texas Tech is falling off the face of the earth. Right now they've lost 3 in a row. K-State has not lost since their best player, Dean Wade, returned from conference. They're 5-2 in the Big 12. They're tied with Kansas for the Big 12, and they still haven't played Kansas, so they'll have an opportunity to try to unseat the Jayhawks for a 15th straight Big 12 title. They're not just a team that could maybe make the second weekend. They're a team that could maybe make the Final Four. 2 years ago, South Carolina, a 7th seed, made the Final Four. They're a team like that. They have the players. They have the potential. They play incredible defense. They easily could make a Final Four run. I would watch out for them, and I would pick them to go far in your brackets come March.
All right, Glick. Duke's up 19-16 against Pitt. The spread on that game. The spread on that game is -12 for the Dukes.
-12.
Are they going to cover?
That's a good question. I love sports betting. Big fan of it. I encourage everyone. I do it myself every day. Let's be honest. Duke, 12 points?
On the road. 12-point favorites on the road.
It's on the road. They're playing Jeff Capel, Duke's former assistant.
Does the zoo get inside their head?
The zoo. The zoo is a crazy student section. Give props to them. 12, that's kind of close. I think it's going to be, I'm going to say under. I think Duke wins by 11.
Okay, so you say Pitt with the spread.
Yeah, Pitt covers.
Yeah,
Pitt covers. I don't like betting road teams, especially that high of a spread on the road.
Well, that game's just underway, 11-24 in the first half. Duke up by 3 against the Pitt Panthers. All right, Glick, before you go, Mariano Rivera, the first unanimous player to enter the Hall of Fame. I want your thoughts.
He deserves it. He's the best closer of all time. It's really not, disputable. Trevor Hoffman's great, but he's not on Rivera's level. I saw a stat, Rivera's ERA is under 1 career in the postseason. Are you kidding me? With 40-something saves. He had, I don't even know, how many saves he had over 600 or something in his career.
Right.
He was the staple of the Yankees being good in the late in the early 2000s. Did he win a title in the early 2000s with them? In 2000?
Well, he won in 96, and then he won
so he won 96. They won in, I know they won in 2000. They won in 2009. He's the closer that made it happen. Every time they needed, they were up a run or so in the ninth inning, he would come in, he would get the job done. He wouldn't walk anyone, which I love. He would throw strikes, and you felt good when he was on the mound. And beyond that, to be a Hall of Famer, I think you have to be a good person, and he was a great person. I don't know anyone that doesn't like him as a person or as a baseball player, and I think it's great that he was a unanimous Hall of Famer for the first time ever. And as a Yankee fan myself, I couldn't be happier for him and his family.
Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, the dopers.
Not going to happen, never going to happen. They took steroids.
Okay, they inched up. They got about 58%. They got a couple more years, I believe. Not going to happen, Glick?
I don't think so. They're inching up, but they're inching up too slowly. They're in the high 50s. They need to hit 75, and I don't think they'll hit 75. Roger Clemens, though, I like more than Barry Bonds because he played for the Yankees.
All right, that's Adam Glick.
But he still took steroids.
Adam Glick 39 on Twitter, also at the University of Texas. So if you go on campus, look for a short little Jewish kid who's always talking college basketball. Glick, I hope to have you on in the next month to get a preview of March Madness. Also, spring training coming up, so we'll split time with both of those, and I appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you for having me on. Enjoy the rest of the semester, Nick.
Okay. All right, Glick. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Sounds good.
All right, that's Adam Glick, 39, talking a little college basketball. All right, guys, 2 more segments before the end of the show, 6:30 here on KSSU Radio. I am Nick Koeneke. Follow my Twitter at the Koeneke Hour. Follow my podcast at the Keep Calm and Stay Offended podcast on YouTube. And look me up on social media and give me a friend or give me a shout-out. Tweet at me. Do whatever you want. All right, let's move on to the next segment, and that is Stop It. Stop It right now. I love that song. All right, Stop It right now. If you're new to the program, it's just another reason for me to rant. So one of my best friends here at Sacramento State recently didn't transfer, but she's not here on campus this semester. And I met her last semester, and she's going to England for a study abroad or whatever they call that, right? You know, where a student goes somewhere and they, pretend to learn something, right? And Stop It right now, today's about that. And I think people and students should, students who think they will go find themselves because they study abroad or go backpacking in, the Alps, stop it right now with, I'm gonna, be a better person when I come back, and I'm gonna get cultured, and, I'm gonna learn things, and I'm gonna try some great food, and I'm gonna meet some great people, and I'm gonna be learning at the same time. I'm gonna be taking classes, I'm gonna be doing these great things. It's gonna be awesome. Stop it right now. People who go study abroad, okay, people who go study in a different country, people who go to a different university in the United States for a semester, the only reason you're doing that is so you can get a semester off, because you're not learning anything when you go in there. You're not taking any classes. You're not doing anything. All you're there to do is party your ass off, okay? You're there to party your ass off. Maybe you go see some sights. You're basically traveling for a semester, okay? And the students that think, I'm going to go find myself, BS. So please stop it right now with that, I'm going to go do this, and I'm going to go see this, and, we're going to meet the Queen, and the Queen's going to teach us etiquette, and we're going to see Parliament and how a real government operates, and I'm going to be such a better... And when I come back, I'm going to see you, and I'm going to tell you all these things I've learned and how much better I am for it and how I found my passion about things. Stop. Please. Stop it right now. My friend, I told her, I was like, you're not going to do... She's like, I'm going to do this. I'm gonna, yeah, you're going to do that, but don't act like you're going and, you're doing the same stuff you would do here in the United States learning-wise or going to class. You go to class once a week and you're taking art, okay, and you just paint. You're not doing anything. You're getting the same amount of credits as you would get here. You're just taking a semester off, basically. Or you're going, like, you know, those people who after high school, they're like, oh, I'm going to go do this for a year. Like, I'm going to go on a mission, or I'm going to go, like, to the Middle East or whatever. Do whatever, right? Like, I get that, okay? Because you're not learning. But the people are like, oh, I'm going to a university at, you know, Cambridge or, you know, Harvard of India or wherever the heck you think you're going. You're not getting... Stop it right now that you're getting an education and that you're having a regular semester. Okay, you're spending thousands and thousands of dollars to just travel and party. And yet you still get the same credit in the same amount of classes in the same semester time. So please, stop it right now. All right, guys, let's end today's show with the very first, the Koeneke Hour sided debate of the week. I brought this up earlier in the show, new sponsor for today's program and the rest of the semester, that's sided.co. A brand new debate platform that rewards you for your opinion. Are you tired of the chaos and unorganized nature of Twitter, with personal attacks by unknown trolls thrown in the mix? There's no scoreboard, no clock, and no way to crown a winner. Sided. A one-on-one civilized and timed debate with a winner ultimately chosen by voters. Clock is ticking, pressure is on. Get in the game. Go to sided.co, create an account, and prove you've got the strongest takes and best opinions. That's sided.co. I have an account. Go on sided.co. Go on one of the debates and, you know, tag me, create a question, create a debate, tag me in it, and I'll debate you. And I'll beat you. Okay? And people are going to start voting for me, and I'm going to win stuff. Because your takes stink. But you can always try. So go to sided.co today and start debating. And the Koeneke Hour sided debate of the week is this. And we'll end today's show on this. With the Patriots in yet another Super Bowl, we talked about this with Kevin Peardon, are you more or less inclined to watch? So on one hand, you got the Patriots, they're in yet another Super Bowl. Maybe you're a Patriot fan. Obviously, you're going to watch, right? Maybe it's because you want to watch them lose and you're rooting for them to lose, so you're going to watch. Or maybe you're trying to witness history, as the Patriots could potentially tie the Pittsburgh Steelers for the most Super Bowls in history. There's that side. Or on the other side where you're like, I don't want to watch the Patriots again. Like, it's boring or it's getting repetitive. I don't want to watch them win because I hate them. Or, you know, I don't want Tom Brady or Bill Belichick, you know, since they cheated. Like, I don't want to see them win. And it's not fun anymore now that they're in yet another Super Bowl, the third Super Bowl, or third year in a row. So there's two sides to it. So get on Sided, get on sided.co. Debate with me. Come on, pick a side, debate, and you're going to win cool stuff in the future if people like your debate. So, with the Patriots in another Super Bowl, are you more or less inclined to watch the game? I'm not talking the skeptical of it. I'm not talking the halftime show, pregame show, commercials. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the game. If you're going to a party, if you're watching it at home by yourself, whatever you're doing, are you excited to watch the game? Or are you like, I've seen this so many times, I don't want to watch it. All right, guys, that will do it for today's show. I appreciate each and every one of you tuning in today and listening in. Go back to the podcast on YouTube. On my page, just look up Nick Koeneke and find me. And go back if you missed any of today's show and any of the interviews with Adam Glick. Adam Glick, thank you for calling in today's show. Kevin Peardon, I appreciate it. I hate the Patriots, but man, do I respect them. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for calling in. And to you, the listener, thanks for tuning in. Every Tuesday, I'm here on KSSU.com from 5 to 7, about 5:10 to almost 7. It's about 6:40, so I got to get out of the studio before the next show comes in. So make sure to tune in for the next, I think, 16 weeks here on KSSU Radio for the Koeneke Hour. Remember to follow my Twitter at the Koeneke Hour. Follow my podcast, the Keep Calm and Stay Offended podcast, on YouTube. Go back to this podcast and this recording of the show if you missed any of it. I appreciate everybody's time. Thanks to all my friends and family down south, back east, and up here in Sacramento. Thank you for tuning into the program. Catch me next week, and also catch me here on KSSU Radio tomorrow at 1 p.m. on TBD, To Be Debated with Sean Hochul and Keith Joganatos. I will be debating them on everything in sports and whatever else they want to talk about. So thanks for tuning in, and I will catch everybody next week.